Okay, we have here online Mr. Copeland Forbes. Good morning to you, Copeland. Can you hear me?
Good morning, sir. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, yes, we're good now. We're good now. Let's hoping everything will go well. In the business for 55 years, tell us something more about Copeland Forbes. Sure.
Boy, I tell you, I myself, when I got in December 15, 1962, I didn't even know or dream or anything that I would last this long in something like this, because I didn't know what direction I was going. But being a young, teenager, it seemed like I chose the right path, coupled with my youth activities, because I was a Boy
He's
Scout
a
too
Boy
at the
Scout.
same time.
I used to go to
You know,
Shetolda Park, right?
yes, yeah, I went to Chatola Park School first, right, where a lot of stars came out of, people
Yes.
like Bonnie Whaler,
Right.
Marcia Fritz, Freddie McKay, Doc Hudson, the list and all of the techniques, them all went to the same school. We were all schoolmates going from one class to the other until everybody found their own path, in music. Some went to All Saints School
Right.
and some went to Kingston, and then Bonnie Whaler went to Camperdown, because he had passed half scholarship and his parents could afford to pay the fee.
The
The
fee.
other part, he had to just go to the other schools and still buck up back in the music business.
Okay, okay. So you knew all of these guys from day one.
Yeah, yeah, man. From we were 5, 6 years of age. We've been going to the prep school first before the primary school and then on to the junior secondary. That's what it's called now. Kingston Senior is now
Hmm.
called Kingston Junior Secondary. All Saints is no more, as we know. But it's another school where Gregory Isaacs attended also, and the Goodison brothers and the Buchanan. So it was like meeting stars in both sports and music at all the schools, together. And then when I went to see Kingston Senior now, the Heptones with
Hmm.
Leroy Sid, Barry and Earl and everything were at Kingston Senior. Desmond Decker was at Kingston Senior School too. The Cables were at Kingston Senior School. So it's like you are ordained for this thing because from you're a kid going through the schools, you're meeting people in music. Never know they were going to be in music, but they turned out all to be in music. So I think it was ordained for all of us to play a role. I tried my hand at singing, playing, and everything,
You stop that.
and just couldn't work. Yeah, it couldn't work.
Yeah, but what made you make
I
that
remember going
decision?
to,
What made you
huh?
make what made you made that decision itself to go on, to be a manager, really, a road manager? What is a road manager for these artists?
Manager. Well, I tell you what, after trying, I love the bass guitar, and I started learning to play the bass.
Hmm.
But it was a sore used to come up on my thumb, and I used to suck finger, you know,
Okay.
playing the bass, and it's soring up my thumb. So I stopped that, and then I started learning to play the drums. But I started to get cramps in my leg. And then my sister's husband, which is Ron Wilson, the great Ron Wilson, trombonist who was in the military band and the army,
Hmm.
he taught me how to play the trombone. So I started learning to play the trombone. And then a lot of people was telling my mom that I'm going to have a heart attack because trombone make your leg get big, right? And make your heart get into trouble. So I switched and then I decided to learn fencing, fencing what
Yeah,
we
yeah,
so me and what's his name? Since Victor Sampson,
yeah.
you
Hmm.
was attending fencing class at Holborn L Studio. And then one night I'm there learning all the moves with my sword, and I feel somebody grab me in my waist and pull me straight out of the studio, which was my mother. Somebody told her that I'm learning to do sword fight. So I went back. So I went back into the music and decided that I have to make it some way. So I couldn't make it as a singer. I used to suck, they call this thing sen. They said it make you sing like a bird. And I sucked sen until my throat was scorched up. And then I heard like Perkins up at Studio One was talking about tonsils. Say if you remove your tonsil, it make you sing like hell. So I got a scissors one day. I was in the bathroom trying to find my, you know, mother was passing. I was sitting with the scissors looking in the mirror with my mouth wide open. Asking me what I said, I want to take out the chance. So I realized the singing wasn't part of me then. So I took up my cat, the harmonica, because my
Uh-oh, you're kind of froze.
Cold master, success black man, everybody knew him as Serby. He was a music teacher, you know, with the harmonica. So I decided that I was going to go down to Duke Reed, Treasure Isle Studio, to do an audition because a lot of the musicians down there, I knew them from kid days. Jackie Jackson, the bass player, was a scout in All Saints troop, my troop.
Kind of losing you. Uh-oh, think I lost him there. Ah, we get him back. He'll come back. He'll come back. Sorry about that. I guess it's just his internet connection there. In the meantime, let me see if I can get some music in the meantime. Let me see if I can get him back.
Never you stand sit on the ground, let's keep on moving around and stop being a clown. When here come a middle of sound, I gotta shout my down and get a 7 feet of ground as I won't play the middle of this to make it jump and twist. I tell you, ready, ready, ready. I say me ready now, pretty. Baby, I say me ready, ready, ready. I say me ready now, pretty. You know I start. Me say last Saturday night, me say me went to a party. As me went inside, me say me saw a lady. And I get to realize that she wasn't lonely. And I asked her for a dance, she said whenever you're ready. I said I'm ready when you're ready. I said I'm ready now, pretty. Baby, I said I'm ready when you're ready. Come on. I said I'm ready now, pretty. I me say baby. Lord, baby, you make me feel nice. Lord, baby, you make me feel good. The way you hold and rock me, darling. Lord, baby, said I'm ready when you're ready. I said I'm ready, I'm ready. Move your feet, I'm make me step to the reggae. I pop a brown in glass and go there. I saw me say, step it to the reggae. Hey, I pop a brown in my figure, so baby, get you ready, cause I'm ready when you're ready. I said I'm ready, I'm ready. Lord of mercy, they said I lost Saturday night, me say me went to a party. As me went inside, me say me saw a lady. And I get to realize that she was lonely. I saw her ask her for a dance, she said whenever you're ready. I said I'm ready when you're ready. Hey, I said I'm ready, I'm ready. Baby, I said I'm ready, I'm ready. I said I'm ready when you're ready. Come on, baby, come make me step into the reggae. And I did brown in my figure there. How you mean? I'm say ready when you're ready. Slim man, I know we might be good. I saw me say, come if you're standing on the left or if you're standing on the right. Let's get together and all unite. Lead to the left, it don't do bad, don't make no fight. I need to get together, people, make we don't be double night. I mean, say ready when you're ready. Hey! I said I'm ready, I'm ready. Come on, y'all. Baby, me say step it when you're ready. I said I'm ready, I'm ready. How you mean? Baby. Lord, baby, you make me feel nice. Lord, baby, you make me feel good. The way you hold and rock me, darling. Lord, baby, me say me ready when you're ready. I said I'm ready, ready, ready. Baby, me say hold on steady. I beg you step into the reggae. I to a party. As I went inside, me say me saw a lady, and I get to realize that she wasn't lonely. And I asked her for a dance, she said whenever you're ready. I said I'm ready when you're ready. Come on, baby, me say ready, I'm ready. Hey, me say me ready.
Yes, our family, we're trying to hook up back with Copeland. Lost internet connection here. So hang on with me. Be right there. Do apologize for that.
I can't understand why Coco T met this girl having me wait so long. It seems like him not stand up as a true man, but this is me loving strong. She have to come along.
I don't wanna wait in vain for your love.
Baby girl,
I don't wanna wait in vain for your love.
Chano, you're my girl.
From the very first time I bless my eyes on you, girl, my heart says follow through.
Yeah.
But I know now that I'm way down on the line.
She looks so fine,
But the waiting's feeling fine.
she a one of a kind.
So don't treat me like a puppet on a string,
Don't pull me,
cause I know I can do my thing. Don't talk to me if you think I'm down. I wanna know when you're gonna come.
all I know she have to come with me. Wanna take her down to Paris, take her down to Rome, take her to the beach and from there to my home. Candlelight dinner for only 2 alone. No disturbance, no calling on the phone. No more out there, I'm on wheel road. She give me sweet loving, I can never leave home.
I'm just sorry and I'm still waiting for her.
Keep on waiting for
I've been waiting here.
you are beautiful, you are wonderful. You make me jump out of every girl in a home. Wheel up and down like a balloon. Picking out the me have to draw with me down. Baby girl, I love you so much. Let me sit and talk about such and such. Keep away, stop till let me and touch. Caress you girl like a
Like I said, it's been 3 years since I'm knocking at the door,
Why you waiting too long?
and I still don't knock some more.
Keep on knocking.
These are things I feel I wanna for I can knock some more.
Keep on knocking.
You never know unless I have to be.
You see that this girl don't think it's
But your love is my key.
not a mercy. I want to take her
Tears in
to
my
Paris,
eyes,
take her to Rome, take her to the beach and from there to my home. Candlelight dinner for only 2 alone. No disturbance, no calling on the phone. I want to take her from a town. Nobody's on close. Give her to me love with me, send those white clothes. Baby girl, are you alone the most? Up to your ball and I scream till you most. Keep on waiting.
Okay, our family, yes. But I'm telling you, these technical problems, man. Okay, we are back. Hopefully everything will go well. Yes, Copeland. We are back.
Yes.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you, this is technology at its best.
Well, I I think this is the way we're going to have to live for the rest of our lives, through technology. So we just have to just try and cope with it the best way possible.
That's
So,
true. That's true. That's true.
yes, just to pick up from where we got cut off, when I decided to go down to Duke Reed down at Treasure Isle because most of the musicians down there were schoolmates and associates, like Jackie Jackson, who plays bass, right? He was in our scout troop together, right? And Dougie Radbryan, we went to school together. And keyboard man there lived right across from my house in Trenchtown, Gladdy Anderson.
Glad you understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like going to see a family, and I'm sure then I would definitely get a chance to record. But when I went down to Bond Street now, where Duke Reed Studio is, I heard about this man with guns around him. Back in those days, when guns wasn't something that you see regularly.
Right.
When I went down to the studio, right by the door to go inside the place, there was this man sitting with a row of bullets across his chest, like the Ango Kid, a shotgun in his hand, and a 45 in his waist, and he's sitting right at the door that he's supposed to go in. So I was so scared, I went across the street and standing across the street, scared to go across to even say anything to him. And he was sitting on all the bottles of liquor out, because he had a liquor store downstairs.
Yes. Right.
That was Duke Reed, So I stood there for about hours trying to see somebody that I could wave to, and they
Come back
said,
in. Yeah.
boy, I couldn't see nobody because the studio was upstairs. So I spent the whole day, the whole Sunday. My mother didn't even know where I went, right? And couldn't get even across the street to the studio door, So at that point, now I decided that, well, I'm going to form my little group named the Harmonic Cats, which was my brother and members of my scout troop, So what we all were taught by our scoutmaster, to blow the harmonica. And we formed a little band, and the name of the band was the Harmonic Cats. And we started to play at tea parties and, JBC, TADP places and so on, and things in the scout movements. And then from then now we moved on to, I was a lover of movements, and dance. I loved to dance, So I admired James Brown and some of those other fantastic dancers, and watch the Temptations and all these people. So we tried to idolize them. So I named the Coasters, right? And it was a dance group, and we started performing all over the place. And then I got hooked to the mighty Viking, Winston Chinqui, down at Jamaica Commercial Institute. Formed a fan club named the Mighty Vikings Fan Club. And then being associated to the band now, I was able to get some shows with the band at Sombrero Club, Dingo Club, and all over the place where the band was playing, So we started getting this popularity then, and then we entered festival, right, and we won. And then from then on, now I left and I went to the States, and 1968, I went up to Minnesota for a while, and then I joined a band named Michael's Mystics, right, which plays every week at a club named Rainbow Garden in a place named Rice Lake, Wisconsin. So I started my foreign sojourn solo until I got to New York, and then when I got to New York, I ran into all my friends, Keith from Keith and Tex, and Winston Jones, all the singers from TADP days. So I decided I'm not going back to Minnesota. I'm going to stay in New York. So I stayed there and started moving around in the business. And I ran into G. Fitzbartley, right? And, we were friends from Jamaica. And then he started getting me some shows on the amateur shows at the Apollo Theater and Joe Blues Showtime and Lloyd Price Turntable down Broadway. So I made my debut in the US now, right? And then this promoter named Earl Harris, a Trinidadian guy, started doing a lot of reggae shows, Caribbean shows rather, in New York. And then they wanted some dancers to show how to dance the reggae dance at the Apollo Theater. He was doing 1 week of shows at the Apollo Theatre. 21 shows in 1 week, 3 shows
Whoa.
per day. And we had a band named Skin, Flesh and Bone from Jamaica, which had a young drummer named Sly Dunbar at 14 years of age, Lloyd Parks, Ranch McLean, Cynthia Richard, Al Brown, everybody was
Wow.
there. And we performed at the Apollo. And then while I was at the Apollo now, by then Johnny Nash, who was called the king of reggae back then, singing some of Bob Marley's song and Hold Me Tight and Cupid and all that stuff. And being a black American, he was getting a lot of airplay, so people were calling him the king of reggae. Was going to do a performance on Soul Train, and they wanted some people to demonstrate the dance on Soul Train to the Soul Train dancers how to dance the reggae. So while we were at the Apollo Theatre, Don Cornelius was in New York at CBS, and he and a guy named Logan Westbrook, right, from CBS, and Fitz Bartley brought them over to the Apollo Theatre where we were performing. And then when we were finished performing, they came backstage and they said they wanted us to come to California to appear with Johnny Nash, to show the people how to dance the Jamaican dance reggae. But Johnny Nash was performing live. And that's how I made now another step into the TV era. And them times Soul Train was the biggest
Oh
thing,
yes, definitely.
in
Yeah.
black show in America, was running everything, So to appear on Soul Train was like a big
Oh
jump.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And then I performed at this Roxy Club with Johnny Nash in LA. And then we started moving around. Now, all of that, I am being a performer, a singer, a dancer, everything. And then I got into movies. Now, we were walking past 20th Century Fox building on 57th Street in Manhattan, and we saw this place saying 20th Century Fox. So we went inside this building looking at all the stars and things, and we were there talking and all kind of stuff. And then a guy came down and said, where you guys from? We said, we're from Jamaica. He said, you guys ever do acting yet? And we said, yeah, we are show business people. He said, they auditioning people for a movie coming up. You guys want to go try it out? And we said, yeah. And we jumped in the elevator and went up to the 10th floor, where we saw over 1,000 people there filling out application forms and all kind of stuff. But with our accent, we knew we didn't stand a chance to be in a movie. But we filled out the form, they gave us a little script, and you just go in, you spend about 3-5 minutes, and demonstrate your ability to act and thing. And then they said, okay, we'll get back to you. So when it was over in 10-15 minutes, you feel like it was just one of those things, until I went home one evening and my sister said to me, some fax place been calling the house all evening, want to talk to me. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. So I dialed the number and I heard somebody answer and said, 20th Century Fox. And when I said, wow. And they said, Mr. Forbes? I said, yes. They said, you have been selected for the movie, which was The French Connection. That movie turned out it won 5 Academy
Yeah, man,
Awards.
that was a wicked movie, man. Nice.
Yeah, that The French Connection won. So here am I now in movies, and being a singer, a dancer, everything. I felt like, yes, I'm getting there.
Which part did you play in the French Connection?
That scene in the bar, in the early scene where you see Santa Claus outside,
Yes, right,
with a little bell ringing, but they were cops, which
right.
was what do you call him? Gene Hackman
Gene McMahon, Popeye.
and Roy Scheider.
Right.
They were dressed like one was selling hot dog and the other one was a Santa Claus.
right.
But they were looking for a drug pusher. And we were in the bar now, hanging out and playing that scene there. And then the guy came in, and at the minute he walked in, Popeye, that's what they call Roy Scheider, him and Gene Hackman rushed in, and I gave the guy the signal and said, watch out, they're coming, jump over the counter and run out to the bar and thing. I mean, it was a little roll, but you get $3,000 in time there.
Oh man, enough money that.
You could go downtown and buy the whole flags, brother. And thing. But it was a great start for me, and I felt good that, well, then at least I'm in movies now, And one movie that I did helped and propelled me to do 3 more. Another one named Group 2, which is a comedy, where I was rowing a boat across Central Park Lake. And another comedy one named Goodbye Baby, and then a big one named 40 Carats with Liv Ullman. You know,
Okay.
so I hear am I now a movie star, a dancer, on TV, everything. So Fitz Bartley, who was everybody know Fitz
Yeah,
Bartley,
man.
journalist from Jamaica. He was writing for a big magazine in Philadelphia and some magazines in New York. So he had all the connections. So he was getting me connected. So when the Wailers came into New York, right, on their Catch a Fire tour 1973, now Fitz came and picked me up. Well, I picked him up rather, right? And we all went down and we went and sat with Bob in the Chelsea Hotel, a little hotel on 23rd Street, where the Wailers was staying, And Spitz introduced me to Bob, and said I'm a good person, I'm very experienced. I was on full train with Johnny Nash and I this and that. And they wanted somebody on the team, and then Bob asked me one question. The first question he asked me, what month I was born? And I said, August. He said, what date? I said, August 1st. And he said, you're a leader. You should be leading. That's all he said to me, nothing more,
Oh yeah.
And then,
Okay.
yeah. And then that's how I joined them in 1973. And the first show I joined them with, they did 5 days up in Massachusetts at a place named Paul's Mall. But when they came down to New York now, they were opening for Bruce Springsteen, a place named Max Kansas City.
Oh yes, I remember Max Kansas City.
I joined them then, and then I was part of the crew on the road touring. And then after that, we were opening for Sly and the Family Stone, all the tours them until we got to Las Vegas when they ditched us and left us stranded because the Wailer was too hot as a opening act,
Oh.
and singing all the songs like I Shot the Sheriff, which was made popular by Eric Clapton, but it was the Bob Marley that first recorded, Bob Marley and the Wailers. So when people saw these young Jamaican guys doing all these songs that even Johnny Nash was singing and making king of reggae, everybody started to cheering the Wailers on. And then Sly and the Family Stone figured that the opening act was too hot for them. So they got up early one morning about 5 o'clock and drove away with the bus and left us stranded at the hotel in Las Vegas.
What?
Yeah, didn't know where to go, what to do, until the news spread out into LA, because Vegas is not far from LA. And a guy named Gus Brown, who was attending university in San Francisco, the news got around and he rallied up some Jamaicans who worked in school that time, and they all drove from California, which is not far, about an hour's drive, to Las Vegas, and they came and rescued us. And they spoke to a man at a club named The Metrics, that you have this group from Jamaica, and they're great, and they're the one who wrote and sang I Shot the Sheriff that Eric Clapton drove over, and all the songs that Johnny Nash was doing was written by Bob Marley and things. So what the white guy did is kick out a white group that was in that club and put us on for 2 nights, right? And when he put us on and saw the reaction and heard the music and everything, he booked us for another 2 nights.
Okay.
you know. But by then, Bunny Wailer had left the group, because after the first tour in Europe, the Catch a Fire tour, Bunny had quit the Wailers. A lot of people don't know this, but I have to make it known that Bunny was the first man that left the Wailers in 1973, right?
Okay.
And we had to bring in Joe Higgs to do the US leg, because Joe Higgs was the guy who taught them harmony structure and taught them and kind of trained them. So he knew all the songs. So Joe Higgs came in to fill in for Bunny Wailer on the US tour, and then we toured the US, and they went back to the England, the UK, to do some more days, because by then the Burning album was out, so they had to go out and promote it. So that's how my transition from being a mouth organist and an actor and come into the business part, because with Bob giving me this opportunity to work with them, I
Yes.
learned a lot during that time, and this guy named I forget, this white guy that they call him the White Whaler, that blew the harmonica on 3 o'clock roadblock. He was with Bob at the time too. Lee Jaffe, yes, Lee Jaffe, a Florida native, he was on the tour too, and they helped and taught me a lot of stuff. And then from then on, I just decided that, I'm just gonna move into that direction, So when I went down to Jamaica in 1975 to get the Mighty Diamonds for Ken Williams, who was doing a lot of shows in New York. That's when I actually started managing acts now. And then the Mighty Diamonds was the first act that I managed. You know, at that time they just got signed to Virgin Records. And then I met Richard Branson, the big billionaire now. Richard Branson, he was 21, 22 at the time. And then we hit it off and they signed the group, brought us over to England with the Revolutionary, with Sly, Ansel Collins, Lloyd Parks, everybody, and we started touring. And then my managerial duties started actually from then on, and I keep moving up, and all the groups keep coming to me, because they said I had the magical touch,
Yes,
so
yes. I remember when you came to New York with the Mighty Diamonds, man. That was a beautiful, beautiful time, man.
yes, man. Remember that show at
Yes,
Hunters College,
yes, yes, yes.
Don't forget it, man. It was like though people were seeing reggae instead of in the clubs, they were seeing it in a big concert hall. This time now seeing it in a big concert hall where people can, PA system, mixing boards and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And it was very professional, I have to really lift my hat to Ken Williams because he did a lot for the music in New York, so
Yeah,
I always around him too, helping him, and he guides me along with a lot of things too, and 'cause he was a DJ on one of the radio stations, WLIB.
WLIB, yes, yes, yes. I remember
Yeah.
Hunter College shot. I took a picture of the Mighty Diamonds and I gave it to Tabby. I said, boy, that's the best picture them ever get because those guys are not usually take pictures.
Right, right.
And when I gave that to them, said, boy, that was a wicked, wicked shot, right? And from that, we
Yeah,
became
man.
good
Because,
friends.
that really kind of gave me the kickstart,
Yes.
because from then on I met Don Taylor in the 1976 when he came to Jamaica for the Smile Jamaica concert, and he was managing Burning Spear at the time. So Burning Spear and Mighty Diamonds were the two hot acts coming up. So it was focusing on them, and there was going to be a show at Madison Square Garden in January, which featured Burning Spear and Mighty Diamonds. So Don Taylor came to Jamaica, and it's funny enough, the night when Bob was shooting up at Hope Road, me and Don was at the Sheraton Hotel together going through stuff for the January 2nd date in New York at Madison Square Garden Film Forum. And then he said, okay, we're going up to the rehearsal, right, where Bob was rehearsing for the Smile Jamaica concert. I said, listen, I am going to stop at my mom first because by the time the rehearsal finish, it's going to be late, and my mom is a woman that go to bed early.
Okay, yes.
Early. So Don went straight up to the rehearsal. I went to Delamere Avenue to visit my mom, right? And while I was there, I heard the news on the radio that there was a shooting up at Hope Road, at 56 Hope Road, where Bob was rehearsing, and I called a taxi quick. And when I reached up there, I mean, crowd was calling off, and they heard that some people got shot. Bob was taken to the hospital. Rita got shot in her head. Don Taylor was serious. He picked up about 5, 6 bullets in his stomach. It was just a bloody situation. I mean, I couldn't believe it that this was happening in reggae music. And this was like 2 days, I think, before the concert, because the concert was held the Sunday over at Racecourse, and the rehearsal was I think this was a Friday. And after the shooting, everybody thought this was the end of it. Nothing's gonna happen. But would you believe it that the concert went on? And Bob showed up. Bob showed up at the Racecourse, for the concert. But it's funny enough, that day when it is a Smile Jamaica concert, it was called, and nobody knew nobody knew where Bob was, but on the bill was Richard Ace trio, Third World with the newly lead singer Bunny Ruggs, which I'll come to soon because today is his birthday, right? And they were featuring him, to the public now, and then Bob Marley would be the closing act. And then after Richard Ace performed, then Third World performed. Everybody sat waiting, Don't know if where's Bob gonna come from, if there was any gonna be any Bob. Some of the band members were there, but not all. Family Man never even showed up. Until this very day, he never came.
What? Okay.
Yeah, he never came. So while we were in the tent, Tony Lang, who was the coordinator, had a two-way radio, and I heard on the radio they calling Tony Lang. And when I looked now, it was this politician guy, I can't remember his name, I'll tell you soon, was on the phone. And he said he's where Bob was, and Bob wanted to know if any of the musicians were there. And we said, yeah, we see some of them, but we didn't see Family Man. And so then who went play the bass? He said, well, Light Parks is here, and Cat Core say him can play too. Tyrone say him play too, although Tyrone's a keyboard man. And then they decided that, okay, they're going to come. And they came down. It's the first time in my life I've ever seen a motorcade like that in Jamaica. It's only when Castro came to Jamaica, I saw something that parallel to it. It was 20 cars, police in front and behind, with Bob in the middle, and Cole and Rita and Judy. And they showed up at race course in the night. Rita and Judy in their nightgown. Bob and was bandaged, and he came up on the stage. And then he spoke to the audience, showed them his wound that he got shot, that this grazed his heart. He decided, he said, well, when I decided to do this show, I have nothing to do with politics, I'm trying to kill I, but through the powers of the Most High, I there, so I got to do a little one tune phone, and just look at Tyrone, and Tyrone called the tune, and the first tune start off with that song named War. That speech by Imperial Majesty.
Right.
Right? And he started off until the philosophy that old one grace, and let me tell you something. I never knew that willow tree in a race course could have hold people. Every tree in a race course was full with people up in the trees because there were so much people on the ground. And Bob was just doing one tune after the next, after the next. Every time you look at Tyrone, the bass was being played. Sometimes Lloyd Parks play, sometimes Cat Core play, sometimes Tyrone switch over and play, and somebody else play the keyboard. But they did, and Bob did 14 songs that night. I'll never forget it. I was standing right on stage when I witnessed that. And then when he finished, he just left. And that was the last time people saw him until 1978 when the peace concert.
Wow.
It was a hell of a journey, going through all of those things and experiencing all those things. Sometimes I say I think I'm fortunate enough, that I was able to be at these places and witness a lot of these things myself. Like today, being August 6th, is a special day,
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, February 6th, what I'm saying,
Wait,
August.
August? February 6th, yes, man.
February 6th, because today is Bob Marley's Earth Strong.
Right.
And it's the Earth Strong also for Bunny Ruggs, lead singer, the late Bunny Ruggs from Third World. This is also the Earth Strong for veteran singer and record producer, brother Derek Harriott.
Harriet, exactly. Yes.
So it's so many people celebrating today. So to have me on today to speak about reggae music and these people, which I'm fortunate and I had the opportunity to work with and be associated with throughout my 55 years, is a honor and a pleasure, man. And I think about it a lot and think I must be special in this world that I'm still around after so many years that I can talk about it. I do lectures and PowerPoint presentation about it all the time on my journey and things. So here am I on Irie Times for the first time, on a day like today. So
But I really appreciate it. And I'm in the business for 52 years shooting all of these guys, man. And,
yes,
when I was doing that,
I remember seeing you almost everywhere.
my young days, man, I'm telling you, when we used to hang around with Bob down at Negril and Dennis Brown,
Exactly.
we go on tour with Bunny Ruggs into Brazil. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah. It's when you think of this month, and I think of the amount of entertainers that celebrate Black History Month and Reggae Month, And luckily, I had the opportunity to work with them either in management, tour management, or bookings. Dennis Brown, everybody, Gregory Isaacs, you name it. Every single soul I worked with at some point in my 55-year career. So, I'm honored and privileged, and thank God that he could keep me around this long. And I know he's going to keep me through all this thing that's going on. So I can tell the tales,
Right.
If I don't
And
tell
the
the story, who's going to tell it,
and you're the one to tell it because you're the one that experienced it. That's the whole thing.
Exactly, and I should tell you that I think you know by now that I'm coming out with my book, finally, my memoirs.
Boy, I
You know,
can't wait.
yeah, I know the whole world has been waiting on it for years, and I started it like in 2002, but being busy all over the world, traveling here and there, I didn't get time to do it. And then I remember looking at John Oates and said, John, you need to write your memoirs, and I said, John, gone and nothing. I said the same thing to Alton Ellis. I said the same thing to Gregory Isaacs, and thing. And I said, something, let me just put some time aside now for myself and concentrate on it. So I just decided that I will just get down to it, and definitely it is coming, this spring. Last year, the COVID-19 kind of slowed down a lot of stuff that we had to do. We had planned a big launch at the Royal Albert Hall in London with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and my friend Rob Hallett, who works, he used to be in AAG. He's now with Live Nation, which is Robo Magic company, and he was going to spearhead that. So the COVID kind of changed up a lot of stuff. So, we're going to have a launch still, which is going to be a virtual launch, but we'll announce it, and I'm sure Irie Times will get the times and
Oh, yes, yes.
about it. The name of the book is Reggae, My Life Is. It's like saying my life is reggae,
Right.
but make fun of it. It's
Right.
Reggae, My Life Is.
That's a very appropriate title.
Yeah, because most of my life is spent in this music, in reggae.
Copeland, last night I went through one drawer. I sent you a picture that I found of you. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes,
on
I
your
was
WhatsApp.
trying, I saw the picture and I'm trying to figure where on earth was I, because I see Carl Bradshaw in the middle.
Exactly.
I big ear, and I said black hair. I said, well, it must be a good white, because everybody great.
Yeah, it might be from the our New York days. But in that one pile, I found pictures like of Winston Riley, Alton, John, before them locks.
Okay, right.
Buju before them locks. All these people, Kimani, because I was the first one to take a picture of Buju Banton when he came here, when Jermaine brought him here to South Florida.
Right.
And you look at those pictures and you say, boy, look at that. All these years, and at that in moment, you don't realize what you are doing. Just like how you didn't know what you were doing until now. You look
Yeah,
back at
that's
it
the
and
thing,
see,
you're just going along, not even thinking that the next 30 years you're gonna still be around doing
right.
this and so on. Because I can tell I had so many ups and downs, and most of the stuff I was doing, I wasn't getting paid for some of them. Many things I've done where I don't get paid for. But I usually tell myself, if I don't do it, I don't have a story to tell. So I figure my reward will come on the back end, because I can talk about almost everything
Exactly.
historical in the reggae music, because I was privileged and lucky to be either there or being associated with people who were actually there.
Right.
But most of them, I was present. If I was to list some of them, you would be surprised. All of them, the Peace Concert, Smile Jamaica Concert, Tasties Concert, all the tours, the major tours, Sunsplash Tour, which you have been on
Oh,
down in
yes.
South America.
Yes.
Been on the first one in 1985, and been
Yes.
on so many since then. I even spearheaded the first and only one that went to Africa in 1988, when Synergy dropped out about 2 weeks before they were supposed to leave, some personal differences between them and the African promoters. And then I was sought by Dennison and Don Taylor to take over the tour. And here am I taking over a tour with nearly 200 people, over 150 people from Jamaica, where we have people like Chalice, Burning Spear, Sly and Robbie, Yellow Man, Koch, Judy Mort. Then we have Fela Kuti from Nigeria, and Sonny Ade from Nigeria.
Yes.
And I'm in charge of all those people, going on a 16-week tour of Africa. My God, that was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, in my life. As a matter of fact, I turned it down at first, because I said Synergy was an organization with quite a lot of people, right? I am just a one man. And they said, I have to take it over. I'm the only experienced person, and I can employ whatever. So I had to employ 6 people, 6 assistants, to travel with me on this because me alone could not
Right, you know.
handle 200 people, crazy people. As a matter of fact, I should tell you this, before we leave to go over to Africa, because we started in Liberia, the Minister of Health called me into a meeting down at Marasca Road. And I went there and I was sitting with over 20 doctors and nurses in a conference room. And they said to me, they heard that I'm going to Africa with nearly 200 people. I said, yes. They said, oh, we don't want an epidemic here in Jamaica, you know. So I said, no. What you mean by that? They said, well, you know, so many things flying around health-wise, you know, and with so many of us from Jamaica going, you know, so they're going to give us some condoms to take. I am saying to them, but my musicians and entertainers are well behaved. You hear what I mean, Mr. Claus? You're talking about singers and entertainers well behaved.
Right?
We don't want an epidemic here in Jamaica. So they asked me where I lived. I told them. They say, how many of us going? I told them how long. I told them, and then they said, okay. And I left. I went about my business. When I got home the night, about after 10, I noticed I see everybody standing by my gate, and I couldn't understand what this crowd at the gate. When I pull up to the gate, I hear everybody said, it's you we here waiting on. You we here waiting on. So I said, what happened? They said, look on the veranda. We can't even see the bulb. I looked, there was cartons of boxes on the veranda. I mean, when I drive in, the Minister of Health dropped off 10,000 condoms.
What? 10,000?
10,000 condoms. Ask Sly and Robbie and all that. Let me tell you. 10,000 condoms at my house. So we should carry that on the tour. You know,
wow.
they don't want an epidemic. Now, how do you explain to your other half and people that around you that you're going on a tour with 10,000 condoms? You know, I was asked many times what we're going to do with them, blow them like balloon or what? Because we came with so much. You know? But that was a hell of an experience. And you know something, Dreamy, I couldn't carry 10,000. I took 5,000 and left 5 because a friend of ours named Bonnie Francis, who knew the promoter well, he was coming up like 2-3 weeks later to join the tour. So I left 5,000 and I took 5,000. And let me tell you something. Ask everybody who was on that tour.
Them done.
Robbie, Gene Fraser, Taxi Connection, Judy, everybody on that tour. Them condoms done by the time we reached the middle of the tour. my door, every minute I hear my door knock down. Come, boss, can I get a box? Because they come in some small box of 50s and they're in carton box. So you know what I had to do now? I couldn't get no sleep at night, you know. I just put a big cardboard box and dump a whole heap of the small box them inside it and put a sign, do not disturb, please help yourself. Because I couldn't get no sleep every minute to hear somebody knocking my door. You know?
So the powers that be kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah, me Samuel, they kind of knew exactly what was going on. Seriously, you know, it's no joke, you know.
Damn.
1,000 condoms they left at my house that day to carry to Africa on this African Sun Splash tour. So experiences like that, you know, I spoke about it, you know, in my book and a lot of other, stories, very interesting stories, you know, and I know the whole world is waiting for it, you know, because I get emails every day. They can't wait. Everybody is waiting for it. So, you know, it's coming for sure. And I'm happy and proud that I was able to get it done. You know, I mean, I know we'll have to come with a volume 2 or a volume 3.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because I had to leave out quite a lot of stuff, you know, because it was too much. And I didn't want the book to be one big fat thing like a Bible, you know, and then you have pictures that go in with it too and so on. So, you know, I had to just, you know, use my head and put in some of the important ones, leave a little for volume 2 and volume 3 and so on. So it's a very interesting thing, and it's not just a book. It's almost like an encyclopedia where, you know, you can read and learn a lot from it because I talk about, you know, how you do tours together, how you do contracts. So young and upcoming artists can learn from it, you know, and it's not just something you read and enjoy the stories and laugh and think. You're going to have a lot of laughter because a lot of humor is in it too, you know.
And you really didn't expose all of the back
Oh
end
no,
of
no,
it,
no,
you know,
no,
which is
no, no.
good.
I can tell you this, Dreamy. I've been getting a lot of calls from a lot of artists asking me, I know you're gonna have me in the book, but let me know what you write
What you
about
right?
me. And I tell everybody, no, no, I'm not going into nobody's personal life.
Right,
So to
exactly.
speak. I mean, it's about the music, the business, but the fact that I was so closely associated with almost everybody on tours and things, when you're so closely, you see more than the person who just come to
Right,
audience and watch a show. You know
exactly.
much more about them, and I worked so closely in management with almost everybody. So I kind of know a lot about their personal life and things, but I don't go into that, talk about the music, the evolution of the music and the growth of the artists. I mean, you can remember that first show we did with Luciana at Reggae Cafe in
Mm,
1995,
mm-hmm. Yes.
down at State Road
It,
7, you
yeah.
know, at Reggae
A
Cafe,
reggae cafe, yeah.
yeah, that was his first time performing in the United States. And the late Butch Stewart, God bless his soul, may his rest in peace. And he was the one that helps me. I just ran into him accidentally. I told him about it, and he gave me 21 free tickets for that
Right?
show.
Can him yeah, that's how Butch is, man.
Yeah,
That's how he is. That's how
so
he
it was
is.
very
But
good,
it's good to know that you wrote the book from your experience. It's not like a white man go down to Jamaica and get a man a beer and him tell him a story.
Exactly,
With
right, exactly. You know, it 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 comes from experience,
hmm
right? And from what I actually saw and experienced. So I'm writing from what I saw, I grew up with, what I experienced.
Yep.
Some of them I'm a part of, because some of the stories them, if you should, when you read the stories them, man, my God, I remember one part that me and Freddie had to walk one night when the train left us at a spot in London, in the UK, and we're going to Leeds, up to where the boats them go over to Europe. And we didn't know where to turn, and we saw a police car, and we asked them for a lip, and the man said, we start walk, no, we'll get there eventually. You know? So a lot of stories that I actually involved too, which are humorous, but you learn from it, because you learn how to be on top of everything, how to deal with concerts, contracts, recording contracts too, and all that kind of stuff, which is where an area that I'm very expertise in, because I do a lot of tours all over the world with different people and so on, and in different regions.
I tell him
So
something. Were you on the tour with Freddie when that Panam
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
he told me
That
about
was
that
the
story.
Sly and Robbie
Yeah,
tax
that he saved
connection too. I
everybody.
was a tour manager,
Freddie, yeah,
1988.
Freddie saved everybody that year.
Suppose I tell you something. The tour started here in Florida. It started here because Byron Malcolm did the first date.
Yeah, Byron. Yeah, remember
It
Byron.
was right after Gilbert, because Gilbert had smashed down Jamaica, right? And I had to bring everybody up to Florida to do the rehearsal here. Maxi Priest, Sly, and the whole tax.
Copeland, guess what? I found that picture last night. I saw that picture last night with Byron
Really?
Malcolm,
Yes,
Maxi Priest.
yes.
All I
And
have that
Freddie,
picture
yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm Freddie.
Yes,
I have that picture.
that was the start of that tour. And
Yes.
the tour ended in London, in December. We started September and it ended in December. And boy, that day it was magic, and I think mystical thing worked that day when we changed flights. Sly decided to stay back 2 days. Robbie decided to buy a different ticket and go on British Airways straight to Miami, because our route was London, New York, Miami, Miami, Kingston,
Hmm.
and everything we just changed up. We got to the airport like everybody wanted to go home so fast, because we have been away from 3 months when Gilbert, and it's December now, the 20th, and everybody wants to get back home, So flights were changed up to the best way possible, and we moved from the scheduled flight to an earlier flight. Robbie changing ticket and buying, and Sly stayed back for 2 days. Max stayed back, and that's what saved everything. I have
Yeah.
that whole detail in my book, and
Good.
it's
Good.
like magic, our spiritual movement,
Yeah, spiritual
that
movements.
really happened that day. I think the Father was guiding us all along, because I followed that whole incident, because it's 240 odd people
People died.
died totally,
Yes.
over
Yes.
Lockerbie.
Yeah.
And when we learned a year or two later that the bomb was placed on the plane from Frankfurt, it was alleged that it was on the plane from Frankfurt, and the plane left Frankfurt, came to London, refueled and took up people, and then took off to New York. The plane was going to terminate in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to terminate in Detroit because I remember seeing the Temptations, you know, and when they saw we changed plane, they changed too because they wanted to get into New York early to do some shopping,
Okay.
and that's what really saved the whole thing and so on. And so, it's a historical book that everybody should get, and I know everybody is gonna get because it covers not just one aspect or one artist, so to speak. It talks about the whole spectrum, and it's not just about me alone. My interaction and working relationship with all the artists. I talked about quite a few of them, which are very interested, especially when I met that guerrilla leader down in Suriname, um, Desi Tersi.
Oh, okay.
When I took third world down there, and I started to go and bad down there because we had a contract that entails a certain number of people. The venue, and when we got there, they moved it to the stadium, and I started going bad and say, I want to see the promoter because I want to give him a piece of my mind. And when they told me I had to go and speak to the general, I said, which general? They said, General, it's the Tersi, you know. And when I went there, my gosh, I was the humblest cop inside here.
Right? You have to be.
Yeah, but he was very nice. He treated us good. He gave us whatever we wanted. And it was really the opposite of what I was told this man was. Because if you Google it, him name and see what they call it, guerrilla de facto, whatever it is. He was a guerrilla leader for Suriname, and then he became the elected leader after a while because I went back there in 2012. And carried a package there, and he invited us over to the palace, So all those things are in the book that I talk about, and pictures and so on. So, it will be something, a historical piece of item everybody should get, and I'm sure it's gonna be around for a long time.
When is the book coming out?
In spring. I'm
Okay.
gonna let you know. Every time we definitely know the exact date.
Yes, yes. And you're going to have a virtual launch. We'd love to carry that.
Yes,
also.
yes. We can't do any other thing but that,
Yes,
virtual
that's
launch,
good. That's good.
because the pandemic has sprung up hard now amongst everybody, everywhere now. So we have to just work with it and work around it,
Right,
so to
exactly.
speak.
Boy, I'm
Yeah.
saying you will have to come back for a part 2 on this, man, because we have
Yeah,
so much to
yeah.
talk
Well,
about.
that's the thing. Every time I do these things, it's so interesting, and it's so long that I tell a man once. I remember I did one in Australia for 2.5 hours, right?
Of
And
course.
people never got tired when they want to take a break. They said no, continue. Because if I break, I might not have the same.
You might have the same trend of thought, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I went on
Exactly.
and on. Because you see, when you live these things, you experience it, it become a part of you. So
Exactly.
it's easy to talk about and to narrate because many artists look at me sometimes when they want to know things about themselves. They call me and say, in 19 so and so, you was there, this again, so what is that again? And it's me them come to all the while. So I think I'm blessed with a good memory
That's good. Shift
to
on the
remember
ball, man.
all these things, and it just come back to me naturally, easily, without any hint. How long I know, no more nearly 30 years or more.
But yeah, more than that, man. About 40 something years. Because I remember
Exactly,
back in New York
from the
days.
70s in New York,
Yeah, from New York days. That's a long
21
time, man.
now. So,
And we
a
have been
long
through all
journey,
that too.
boy.
And we have captured all of those photographs with the people them that you have been. As I said, that picture you described before that tour, I saw it last night.
Yeah, man,
Unbelievable.
definitely.
So I'm gonna be.
Yes, you can. I think, yes, you was around them time
Yes,
later. So, yeah, it
yes,
was
yes.
Byron Malcolm was the promoter for the
Right,
start of that tour,
right.
1988, and
Yep.
my gosh.
I'm telling you.
And you,
I'm coming out with a tabletop. You have inspired me to do a tabletop book with just the
yeah,
artists that many of them have passed away. I mean,
yes,
I have a
yeah.
picture with Winston Riley. We have John Holt, we have Alton Ellis, we have so many artists. Garnet Silk, all of those artists, and Bunny Ruggs,
Boy,
man. I'm telling you, went to tour with Bunny, and indeed, it was a pleasure to know Bunny Ruggs.
yeah,
Totally
man,
different
Bunny
character,
Ruggs, man.
a
He's
different
one of
character,
the
but
most
trust me.
nicest human being I
Yep.
ever come around. When we're on tour, man, him call me CP. CP, what's next? Things like that. And so he was a very,
Always jovial.
yeah, enjoy. You just enjoy yourself when you're around
Oh
him. But
yes,
was such an exciting person to be
yes.
around, man. Oh gosh, man. And I knew him before he went into third world. I knew him when he was in New York and he was part of U Hendrix and the Buccaneers too.
Yes, yes, that's what they. I knew from them time there, from you and Tricks.
From right from New York and time there. So when he came into third world, it was like a renewal again. We ran into each other again. And then when I started working with them now, it was like, yes, a family reunion, and it was just great, a real great man and things. So it's a great experience, and Lloyd Parks and We the People band,
Right.
when it started with Dean Fraser, Nambo and Chico, you know, I was a part of the organization. Then I managed them also too. So, and then, I had one of the biggest all-female band in Jamaica, Girls Town, for a number of
Girlstone,
years too.
yes.
That created record, be the first all-female band to go on Japan Splash, and so on. So, it's a lot of things inside that book, and most of my experience, that people can learn from, and it's exciting and entertaining too at the same time.
Hmm.
So, I give a little history about myself, when I started out, as a young boy in Jonestown, and living in Jonestown, Trenchtown, and then heading to the United States and keep going up. Plus my sojourn as a Boy Scout, where I had attained the Queen Scout standard and the Duke of Edinburgh Award, and then
You
I
opened the
was
door for Queen Elizabeth. What was it? Princess
yeah, Princess Margaret.
Princess
Yeah, when
Margaret.
she came to Jamaica, she
Yes.
represented the Queen at Jamaica's independence celebration in 1962. So I was selected to be the royal car door opener and travel with
Oh, I
them.
tell you boy, I tell you.
Hey, so that was my first big royal duty. And then after that, I did it for her mother, her sister, Queen Elizabeth, and the Queen Mother. When they came, I did it for Prince
Okay.
Philip when he came to Jamaica in 1966 to open the National Arena.
Hmm.
And then I was selected to go with His Majesty, right? When he visited Jamaica in 1966, I was His Majesty and the royal car door opener for the royal party of His Majesty from the airport all the way to Montego Bay.
Wow,
You know,
nice
so I've had
history.
all these kind of experience. As I said, I think I'm lucky and privileged, really,
Of
to
course.
to to be in those positions, with all these royal people. And one that really jerked me hard, and I felt it harder than anything as we were rehearsing for President Kennedy's visit to Jamaica,
Hmm.
selected again to be his corridor opener, right? And I remember I was living in Trenchtown at the time, and the night before is tragic, that tragic incident in Texas, the sky was red all over. And I remember standing up again in Trenchtown and looking up, you know what I mean? And we just rehearsing every day, for the royal party with President Kennedy. And then we heard the news that he got shot in Texas, man. It was like, half of our life was just gone right
Well,
there and then.
where in Trenton you used to live?
I used to live in on Green Street, but before I used to live up in Rosetown.
Wait a minute. You used to live on the end of Greenwich Street then, because I used to live in Greenwich Street in Denhampton, because Greenwich Street, Trenton,
No, no, yes, that's it. No, the one is that across from Trenchtown High School. Cause Sly used to go to that school too,
Okay, okay,
right? So
okay.
that 5 Greenwich Street I used to live, right? But before then, I lived up in Trenchtown, up in Ghost Town.
Oh, okay.
Right there in Greenwich Park Road. You could walk through them street, then it was dirt road,
Right,
you in and
exactly.
out, in and out, in and out. And
With
you
nobody about here.
yeah, and then you walk up Greenwich Park Road past where Rita Marley lived and where the Whalers them hang out to them shop
Hmm.
and everything and so on. So it was like an experience. Living in Trenchtown is a great experience, trust me. And when I realized that all these great talents came out of Trenchtown, Alton, Ellis, the Whalers, Delroy Wilson, you name everybody, it's the Trenchtown, the
Trenchtown.
Eptones, Trenchtown experience, so it was like a school, living inside there, because I remember when the Whalers, before they named the Whalers, they used to rehearse down at 2nd Street with Joe Higgs, and I used to stop there at night time and watch them and sit inside there while them a cook porridge and them just a sing, and as them cook again, them just a sing, and them just a sing like crazy and thing, and them never even have no names yet, and then decide to call themselves the teenagers, and they realized there was a group named Frankie Lyman and the teenagers,
Teenagers, right.
so they couldn't use that name, and then they call themselves the juveniles. And I think Bonnie and one of them said, but when we grow big, oh, we're going to change. We have to change the name because we were the juveniles then. And then afterward, they went up to Coxon, right? And would you believe it? A lot of people don't know it. They did not name the Whalers first. Their name was the Wailing Whalers.
The way, okay.
They were named the Whalers because I think Coxon did some research. He was a farm worker,
Yeah.
a lot. And there was a white group from Tacoma, Washington, that was out from about 1950, in the 50s, named the Whalers, right, with that name. So the fact that Coxon traveled a lot, I think he knew that. So he, the first album he put out with them titled The Wailing Wailers, and then when the Rude Boy songs them start to come out and Desmond Decker sing 007 and Elisa sing Crime Top and Dance Crasher, everybody come to the Wailer and say, yo, we have to sing some bad man song now, because why everybody get tough. Then them come with jailhouse get empty, Rudy gets plenty and stuff. So people start to call them the Wailing Rude Boys Wailers. Until they finally settle on the Wailers, and then sometimes they call themselves Bob Marley and the Wailers, So, it's a tradition and an experience, Like I say, I talk about a lot about those transitions so people can learn and know the real fact and the real truth. Because a lot of people, you were saying that what it was Chris Blackwell who give them the name, the Bob Marley and the
Oh,
Wailers.
no. Oh,
No,
no.
no,
Uh-uh.
no, no.
Not
If
just
you
that.
listen to the interview that Bob did with Never Willoughby, what's his name from SM Radio, you hear when they ask him about it, and Bob said, "Why I never tell no one to call like that, but then just call like that." And they have their own label, Whale and Soul M, where they have control over. They still had Bob Marley and the Wailers on it, and they signed their contract with Island as Bob Marley and the Wailers. So they are responsible for it too,
For it.
just the same. And don't blame it. I don't know why people keep saying that it's somebody else. Give them the name and break up the group. Nothing like that, right? So, all those things I talk about in the book is very interesting, so people can learn some history and learn exactly what happened back in the days when it was ska, and from ska to rocksteady, which never lasts long, and then into reggae and so on. So luckily I was privileged that I was part of the different era, with from ska.
From ska, right? Back to
Yeah,
reggae. Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
So yes, sir.
Boy, I'm telling you, indeed, a pleasure. So we have to do this again. So when you come
Yeah,
back from
man.
Jamaica, hey, we're gonna link up again.
Yes, and I just want to say thanks a lot for having me and to share some of this experience with your viewers and your listeners. This is my first time on Irie Time. It
Yes.
won't be the last.
No, it won't.
Yeah, because it's something I enjoy.
Look from when my telephone come on, you just finally decided to come. That's
Yeah,
all.
well, not before the right time because today
Exactly.
is a special day.
Also true. Also
August
true.
6th in Black History Month.
All right. The
And
best
especially
time.
we have two of the closest people to our Buddy Ruggs and Bob Marley,
Right.
celebrating
And
their
we don't even talk about
very
Derek Harriet
Harriet,
yet.
So
So
yeah,
hey,
it's a great day, great day.
thank you again, Copeland.
Okay, muchas gracias. And I just want to say thanks for having me, and thanks to all your fans and viewers and listeners. And we hope to do it again.
All
Shabbat
right.
shalom, gazai gizun, mashlama, tenestilen.
Later.
Okay. In Jamaica, we say we're gone.
All right. Yes, our family. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Well, I'm telling you, what a pleasure it is to have Copeland Forbes right here on IrieTimes.com. Indeed. Wow. Boy, I'm sorry. We got rid of the technical difficulties, and we are indeed grateful for that. Now, this thing started to freeze up on me again. I guess we still getting the audio. Okay, continue. We are still getting the audio, which is good, and hopefully it doesn't crash on me. So thank you, Irie.